Okay, get ready for another controversial topic. I'm going to grab that proverbial third rail filled with electricity. I'm going to grab on tight and let's hope I don't hurt myself too much. I'm going to talk about the conventional wisdom that I think is wrong, and it's causing many of us to have to work longer than we otherwise would have to, and or have a suboptimal retirement. And I don't want either of those happening to you. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the conventional wisdom that says save 10% of what you make, and when you get to be 60 years old, you'll be able to have a great retirement. And you know what? I wish that was true. That's what I was taught as a kid and a young adult by my parents. And maybe in my parents' age, that was true, right? The world was very different for our parents. And in many ways, the world was a lot harder than it is today. But in other ways, it was more forgiving. For instance, my father and my mom never made more than twice of minimum wage. But yet they were able to buy a house. They were able to take care of 3 kids. Myself and my 2 siblings both went to college. All 3 of us graduated with very low student loan debt. And that's because the world was different, right? And I grew up in a lower cost area. But while my parents might have been able to save 10% and be able to have a nice retirement, a comfortable retirement, certainly not an extravagant retirement, I don't think we're going to be able to do that. So what do we do? What can we do instead? And let me start with what I think we need to save instead of what conventional wisdom tells us. And unfortunately, I think that number is as close to 20% as we can get. I know that that's not easy to do. And actually, if you can get somewhere between 20 and 25%, I think a lot of good things are going to happen to you. But if you just look at the data, boy, it's really hard, right? You see the thumbnail that you clicked on for today's video. That is me and the used car that I bought. I drove that car for 8 years, and that is me a couple days before I finally sold it after driving 8 years. But you didn't click on the video to hear about my used car. You clicked on the video to find out about, how you can reach your goals while sacrificing the least. So let me share with you some important data. According to the Federal Reserve Consumer Expenditure Report, the average household spends $1,900 a month, $1,900 a month for housing. We spend $700 a month for food, and we spend a little over $900 a month for our car. Now, this data is a little dated. It's a couple years old. It's the most recent data that we have, but we all know that inflation has made that even worse. So I think the numbers are even harder now. But if you look at what the median household income is, and what that means is if there's 2 people working, that would include both of their incomes. And if there's only 1 person working in the household, it would only include theirs. So, the median wage for an individual is a little over $1,000 a week, so a little over $50,000 a year. And the median household income is a little over $70,000, almost $71,000 actually. So that would say, 1.2, 1.3 people on average are working in a household. So if you look at those numbers and say, okay, a household is making $71,000, what does $1,900 represent as a percentage? And it's quite a big number, right? Because $71,000 a year is just under $6,000 a month. So the $1,900 is about 33%. So housing, and this is a couple years ago, housing represented almost a third of what Americans are making gross. That's before taxes. And then on top of that, we're paying 12% for our car. So we're at 45% now. You toss taxes on that, let's say that's 15 or 20%, and you're at 60, 65% without a car, right? And then the average American at $913 a month for our car, we're spending 15% for our car. So why is my 2006 Honda, I'm sorry, my 2006 Mini Cooper the thumbnail for this? Because as I look at the ways that we can increase our savings rate from 10% to even more, you know, there's a couple ways we can get there. One is a way that's going to take us several years, and that's as we get raises, as we level up our skills and we get promotions, we have additional skills, hopefully we can make more money. As we do that, it becomes easier to save more money. It doesn't happen automatically, but we can start to maybe save half of what our increase in pay was next year versus what we saved this year, right? And over time, if you're saving 10% now, you could see where that would go to 15% and hopefully over time to 20% plus. But that can take a while, right? So let's look at that 2006 used Mini Cooper as an example here. And before I get there, though, I want to talk about the average new car payment in the United States is $716 a month. That's just for the car payment. That's not with our insurance, fuel, car repairs, things like that. The average used car is $526. So you can see there that, you know, even if you bought a used car, if you're financing it, you're saving an extra $200 a month. That's good, but that's not going to get you from 10 to 15% savings rate, right? What will get you there is if you can make it where you don't have a car payment. And I know that's hard to do, right? It's hard to get ahead of the game to do that. But let me use my 2006 Mini Cooper as an example. I bought that car 8 years ago. It had 60,000 miles on it, and I paid $5,500 for it. I got lucky there, right? I mean, those types of deals aren't easy to find. And I know the world's very different now, but because the price of used cars has gone up a lot, and I'm aware of that, but I still think buying an older car that has been well maintained and looks good, and you can see from that thumbnail, that was a fun little car, right? It was a convertible car. So I got very fortunate from that. But, you know, I think I could find another deal like that. Like, frankly, when I sold my car, now this car is very well maintained. I sold my car for $4,000, right? And so I bought it with 60,000 miles on it. I sold it with 120,000 miles on it. And if you have a good mechanic, I think you could get another 4 or 5 years out of a car like that, which you could buy for $4,000. So I think that is the easiest way to get to saving 15, to add an extra 5 percentage points. Now, it's not for everybody. I do want to talk very quickly about car prices now. And one of the challenges is interest rates have gone up so much. Last year, the average interest rate for a new car was 4%. It rose at the beginning of 2023 to 6.5%. And as of July of this year, when I'm recording this a little bit after that, but as of July of 2023, the average interest rate was 7% on a new car and 11% on a used car. So I think it's the least sacrificial way to get that bump. I show in that thumbnail, me with a big smile. That was a great car for me. I love that car. It definitely did not feel super sacrificial driving that car. Now, I know it's not for everybody. There's more than one way to get to that end goal. This is not me saying you should do what I did. I'm just sharing it with my viewers, with you, in case something like that is like, wow, you know, that might resonate with me. Maybe I could do that while I'm also saving half of my raises and my promotions, while I'm also increasing my skill set so that I can get to that 15, that 20% savings rate, and maybe then go back to driving new cars again, right? So again, it's not prescriptive, it's just descriptive, but I wanted to share it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I know you're going to enjoy this video here where I talk about 8 things that I think people need to stop doing. in order to enjoy their lives more. I hope you enjoy that video. I enjoyed making it, and it has over 100,000 views now. Take care.